I hear the Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all and all. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leopard's spots and melt the heart of stone. And when before the throne I stand in him complete, Jesus died my soul to save, my lips shall still repeat, Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Take just a moment to fellowship one with another during our fellowship time.
Thank you, sir. You can twist it. All right, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. We are going to start off with a video. So those of you that are sitting in the dead zones, if y'all want to kind of move in, because there's some dead zones right over here. We're going to hopefully get that fixed at some point with some screens on the columns, but you can move over. If you like, you can stay where you want to as well and look at the column. Brittany and myself went, I don't remember when we came out there, fall sometime maybe, and visited Foothills, and just super impressed. Not just with the facility, but the heart that seems to be there for, the ministry that they're involved in. I'm going to let them talk about all those avenues. And I didn't know anything about it. I forget how we heard about it. Maybe it was Brittany or whatever. And we told them about our closet here to help facilitate things that they might need as well. So really excited for all of us to hear. Not just something we can support financially. We wrote them a check tonight, and we're going to take up a love offering at the end of the service, and that'll be a financial blessing, help to them. But there's hands and feet in this room that could drive to Seneca. They have opportunities where individuals like us can help. That's why I think it was so good today to have Brother Gary and his wife. Just two people, a couple, a cabinet maker from Pickens, East Pickens Baptist Church, who's been going to Cuba for the last X amount of years. 3 times a year going to Cuba and helping them start churches and people getting saved. And he didn't tell you this morning, but there were 36 souls saved. He told you that. And I told you he had kidney surgery before he left. He passed 14 stones in Cuba. So there's 36 people saved and 14 stones lost or whatever. I don't know how you say that. But I just can't imagine, he still went, right? I don't know, but I might have opted out and stay at the house. So I'm going to quit taking up time. So we've got a video coming, and then the ladies will present what we have an opportunity to be involved in. All right, fellas.
There are lies circulating in our culture implying that you can put a price on life. These drum up fear and anxiety regarding pregnancy and parenthood, especially unplanned pregnancy, which further manipulates people into believing that abortion is their only option.
You can't be pregnant right now, as it's not a good time to be pregnant or parent a child, as it'll interfere with school, career, family, or your other responsibilities.
It means the children will grow up in poverty and do worse themselves.
But some Christian leaders who support abortion rights are trying to flip the script by affirming that reproductive freedom is both Christian and moral.
The anti-abortion movement is tied up with sexism and racism.
So what you're saying is women cannot be considered equal unless they have access to abortion.
For sure.
You are not able to afford to raise a child.
You can't read the Bible and find anything that's against abortion.
These are the laws that not only put women's lives at risk, these are the laws that will cost lives.
Yes, having a child is hard, and there are many costs. But often these costs are exaggerated by those who have something to gain from a woman's heartbreaking decision to end the life of her child. We do not want people to live in fear or make irreversible decisions out of fear, especially when those fears are based in lies. That is why Foothills Care Center exists, to protect the unborn by empowering and equipping women and men with the truth. Jesus says, "For this I came to the world to bear witness to the truth." For every lie that holds them bondage, there is a truth that sets them free.
You are not alone. I am here with you.
We are fearfully, wonderfully made.
There are people out there who are willing to help you.
And there is hope.
We believe that death is not the answer to social and economic problems that make pregnancy, parenthood, and even adoption seem impossible. Love is the answer. At Foothills Care Center, we tell women the truth that breaks down fear and grants them the courage to choose life. We help women reduce the real pressures, problems, and fears that lead them to consider abortion. Unlike the abortion industry, we help women eliminate the problem they are facing, not the person.
Statistics show that seeing her ultrasound can make a massive difference in the minds of abortion-determined women. Studies reveal that on average, there is an 80% chance an abortion-determined woman will change her mind about her pregnancy when she sees her ultrasound. In 2019, the pregnancy center I came from in California was at 86%. Planned Parenthood knows these statistics, and this is why they oftentimes will not allow a pregnant woman to see her baby on the ultrasound screen. At Foothills Care Center, we simply show women the truth in love. In my 11 years of doing ultrasounds with pregnancy resource centers, I have seen many miracles. One that comes to mind is a woman I saw who was planning her abortion. As I scanned her, I saw 2 babies, and she sure did too. I struggled to think of how I would tell her she was having twins, and with tears streaming down her face, she blurted out, "Oh my gosh, I can't lose 2." We supported her through her pregnancy, and she gave birth to 2 beautiful girls. God knew what it would take for her to change her mind. Seeing the image of life in real time, shared by a compassionate healthcare provider and God in the mix, is nothing short of priceless.
At the moment of conception, a unique, living, and whole human being comes into existence. And because they are human beings, they have the right to life. The value of their lives cannot be quantified, and the impact they could have on this world cannot be measured. They deserve a chance to live every moment of their lives, from the first to the last. The physical, financial, and mental price a mother pays is worth every moment of her priceless baby's life, and the joy they will bring to her own life is immeasurable. Her life has changed, but it is not over. It is just the beginning of a beautiful new chapter.
Choosing life is the best choice, and we are here to help women make that choice. We are here to speak truth and love to women in crisis and empower them to choose life. And we give them the support and resources they need to do so. Most of all, we truly listen, we truly care, and we bring the love of Jesus to where they are. We provide material resources, emotional support, prenatal and parenting education, and adoption referrals. We do all of this in order to protect and promote the value of human life, because every human life is priceless. Okay, I have to bring this down a little bit. They told me I might need a footstool up here. They're so funny. Good evening. I'm Delane Rogers. I'm the Executive Director at Foothills Care Center, and we are so thankful to be here tonight, to be with you guys, to be able to share the things that Foothills Care Center does, so much more than a lot of people realize. Actually, Foothills Care Center has been around in January, we will celebrate 35 years. And we are at 2 locations. We have one in Seneca, downtown. We have one in Clemson on College Avenue. And the services that we give at those 2 locations are a little bit different. Our Seneca office is our main branch, so it's a lot bigger. It's the one that Pastor Guy and Brittany came and toured. We do all of the parenting, prenatal, ultrasounds, pregnancy test. We have classes for our clients and community. And we have a baby boutique at that location. And then our Clemson location is right off College Avenue, like I said, and is very small in comparison to Seneca. So at that office, we do mainly new client intakes and pregnancy tests and ultrasounds. In all of 2024, we saw a total of 495 clients, which is a lot of clients, for a total of 2,369 visits, which is a lot of visits. We did 320 pregnancy tests. We did 203 ultrasounds. So far this year, in 2025, we have done, we've seen 178 clients already. If that triples or quadruples, we're going to see much more than we did last year. For a total of 531 visits. So already in the first 3 months, we've had that many clients come through, and they come through every 2 weeks, and so we're able to just love on them throughout, hopefully, their entire pregnancy, and then when they have their babies through their parenting education time. We've done 74 pregnancy tests and 46 ultrasounds just in the Seneca office. In 2024, at the end of March, we had seen 188 clients for 609 visits, and we did 73 pregnancy tests and 46 ultrasounds. And I give you all those numbers just because a lot of times we say we are happy that we have clients coming to us, and sometimes people don't understand why would we be happy to have clients come to us with unplanned pregnancies. And the reason is because when they walk through the door at Foothills Care Center, our prayer every morning is that they will meet Jesus there. Our desire is to be able to reach every abortion-minded, abortion-determined woman before she makes that choice. And so if we can get them in the door and show them the love of Christ, then our hope is that there will be lives saved, hearts transformed, and that families will live abundant life. We want them to choose life, but we want them to have abundant life in Christ. So, Pastor Robert said that there's a lot of hands and feet in here, and we're going to share. I'm going to share what I'm going to share, and then several of our staff's going to come up and talk about other services and stories that they're going to give. Most every staff member, I would say probably every staff member that's on staff, and every volunteer ends up serving at Foothills Care Center because of something they're connected with us about, whether it's an adoption story or an abortion experience, broken relationships, miscarriage, whatever that might be. God brings people to serve at Foothills Care Center because of that, their story, their background. And a couple years ago, we decided that we would start sharing some of our testimony, just a little bit, to let you know the heart of the people that serve at Foothills Care Center and why. So, with that said, when I was 38 years old, I had been through 2 failed marriages. I was separated from my then husband and found myself pregnant with my 4th child, totally unplanned. By the time I realized I was pregnant, I was no longer in a relationship with that man. And my first thought was, I have to have an abortion. Even though I didn't believe in abortion, that was my first thought. And so I understand that panic that goes on, the immediate response of, I can't do this, so the baby has to go. Fortunately for me and for that baby that's now 22 years old, God intervened and I did not abort her. And she's one of the biggest blessings of my life. I love all of my children, but Aniston is special. Because God used her to bring me back to Him and taught me the value of myself through learning how to be a godly mother to my children. And it changed the trajectory of my life and my children's lives and my grandchildren's lives. And because of that, I decided that I wanted to serve in a way that I could speak truth in love to women, families, about the precious gift of life and how God doesn't make mistakes. He is the giver of life. He doesn't make mistakes. And He can take our wrongs and make them right. And through that, lives are saved and transformed. And so that's the why that I serve. I came to Foothills Care Center as a volunteer in 2010, came on staff in 2011, so I've been there a minute. And I have been able to use my past, my brokenness, to speak truth and love to a lot of women facing that same, I can't do this thought. I'm sure that everybody in here has a story, and so I hope that that will urge you somehow to connect that with serving in a ministry, a life-affirming, pro-life ministry. I'm going to hand this off to Marley Ellenberg. She is our Program Services Manager, new titles, and she's going to share some more.
Well, good evening, church. My name is Marley Ellenberg, and I just echo Delane's words. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come out and share. Whenever we begin to talk about what happens behind the doors of Foothills, a lot of people are surprised at the volume of what we do, of what we offer our community. I'm going to talk a little more detail about the services that we offer. So an individual, a young woman can come in for a free pregnancy test, for an ultrasound, and from there, what we try to do is establish relationship. I think we all know how important relationship and community is. None of us can do this life alone. And whenever a woman is facing an unplanned pregnancy, that's one of the most alone times you will ever feel. And so she's able to come into a safe space that is filled with the presence of Jesus, and to be able to sit down and talk and process through her fear and her pain. And what we're able to commit to her is we are going to walk through this with you. We're going to give you prenatal education on how to take care of yourself. We're going to get you prepared to take care of baby. Once baby gets here, we've got parenting education programs for you. And also, like the video talked about, the financial burden of having a baby, guess what? We're going to partner with you in that as well. We're going to help with diapers. We're going to help with wipes. We're going to help with clothes. We're going to help with all the things. We know there's so many things that are needed whenever you bring a new baby. And so this is an opportunity to meet young women and to meet families where they're at, and to be able to give them things that they need. A lot of times, you can look at, sometimes whenever we do the materials and taking up things and asking y'all, hey, can you bring diapers and wipes? And that can seem so small, but it's a commitment. It's a commitment to them that we are there for you. And it just reminds them that they're not alone. And I can promise you, as we're able to give out these items, so many of them so thankful, we tell them about our church partnerships and how there's a church out there that not only cares about them, but shows up for them. Because we want to move beyond the pews and outside the doors, correct? We want to be the light of Jesus in our community. But not only do we do that, we also have a recovery program. And our recovery program, we're going to get into a little bit more about it in a little bit, but we not only aspire to get women to choose life, but we honor life that is lost in the womb, whether through miscarriage or abortion. And we have those recovery programs that we'll be talking about momentarily. But one of the most beautiful things, Delane was talking about how we share in our stories. My experience with Foothill started back in 2005. I came in, walked through the doors to volunteer, and the director said, hey, you want a job? Well, sure. And it started a very long journey of a relationship with Foothills Care Center coming up, well, now it's been 20 years. And just a few weeks ago, I was walking through our lobby, and our lobby was so full. Kids playing, moms, this, that, and the other. I was taking cake pops out. We've got a bakery that donates cake pops just to love on our moms and love on our kids. We just really like to create that environment of love. And I was walking by, and somebody reached out, and I looked, and she said, "Do you remember me?" And those are always my most favorite conversations. And I looked at her and I said, tell me who you are. She said, "You sat across from me and asked me where my relationship was with Jesus. And I looked you straight in the eye and I told you that I was going to hell." And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I remember that conversation. It was probably 15, 16 years ago. But yes, I remember that conversation." She said, "I came in to see you because I myself was experiencing an unplanned pregnancy. And you were reaching out to me with the love of God, and you asked me where my relationship was with Him." She said, "I want you to know something. That baby that I was carrying that day, she's here today having her own ultrasound." That's how powerful the ministry is at Foothills Care Center. We are affecting generations. 34, almost 35 years, we are affecting generations. I talk about feeling alone in those times of an unplanned pregnancy because I myself experienced an unplanned pregnancy. Out in the world, doing what we do, felt bad, found out that I was pregnant, and whenever I came home, I happened to cross paths with my sister, my biological sister, and we sat and we talked. I had someone safe to sit and talk with, and I chose life, and that young man is 31 years old today. But who we cross paths with matters. I can't tell you how many women in crisis cross paths with the wrong person and they pointed them down a path of death instead of life. As the word says, choose you this day, life or death. And we have the opportunity to point them in the right direction. So I encourage you, as you get to know us more, as you get to know Foothills Care Center more, educate yourself about how to have the conversation and the resources to point them to. Now, we've talked a lot about women, but we don't just serve women. Over the past few years, we have grown a men's ministry, and we're so excited that men are coming through our doors. Fathers of these babies are coming through the doors, and we now have someone that can meet with them. And I'm going to invite Jamie up to the stage, and as he's coming up to the stage to share, I'm going to brag on him a little bit. Jamie has walked through those doors, fully committed to meeting every man that walks through those doors exactly where they are. And he has spent time training to the point that he was one of the first advocates in the United States trained in post-abortion healing through support after abortion. So he came in to serve, and boy, did he mean it. So I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, and Jamie's going to share.
I wasn't ready for that. Evening, church. It's good to be here to fellowship with you today. It's good to be with this group of people. I've been at Foothills for 2 years now. It doesn't seem like that. I had just come out of a spiritual awakening, I guess you'd say, crisis of faith, and I was at a point in my life where I was ready to turn my heart over and say, "Okay, God, use me." And I'd already gotten a heart for this type of ministry because I have 2 unborn babies and they're waiting for me in heaven, and so I had the heart for it, but I was like, I don't really think they have a need for men at this, as a pregnancy center. But the Spirit led me to just ask. And sure enough, there were some other men asking the same question. And so God sent me there, and I've been serving the best I can with His help. We know that the number one factor for a child's success is a father figure in the home, in their life. You can just look at the statistics across the board in culture and environments. And our society, I believe the number one forefront battle in our society is manhood and specifically fatherhood. And I believe every Christian, but specifically every male Christian, they need a Paul who will mentor them and help them along their walk, especially as they start out. They need a Barnabas to be a peer, to work with, to hold you accountable. That's a big word that we need is accountability. And also Timothy. You need someone to pour your life into, to mentor. So with God's help, that's what I set out to do. And it's whatever good may have come out of that room, I've received that so much more of a blessing. And I just thank Him every day for the opportunity. I think sometimes in this whole process, maybe men, as understandable, they don't get thought of about as much. But I've been amazed at how many men individually have come seeking services, seeking companionship, accountability, an ear, some kind of training, because they're also sometimes in that same situation where they're just thrown into this new pregnancy and they don't know how to be a father. So we have resources to help, even as simple and practical as taking care of the baby, making a budget, all those kind of things that you have to deal with as a man and as a husband and as a father. We have those to offer. And hey, all I can tell you is if you're a man and you're not pouring into someone else's life and you don't have somebody else to keep you accountable, you need that. And I am so grateful that we have been able to partner together, and I'll be part of that process at Foothills. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Jamie is a blessing. It is amazing to go from, how hard is it for a young man to walk into a pregnancy care center? We are, as women, we're loud, we're goofy, and these young guys come walking in and they feel out of place. It's all the women things, and we're talking about women things. And then there comes Jamie to save the day, to scoop them up and to take them into a room and to be able to talk to them about being a dad. That is really important, because, boy, does that decision weigh so heavy whenever that father comes into agreement about choosing life. That makes a very big difference, and we are so, so grateful for Jamie and his beautiful wife, Allison, who also volunteers as well. We are just so blessed. We are so blessed to have so many volunteers that function in so many different capacities, whether they come in to just help in the baby boutique, helping wash clothes and sort clothes or sort diapers or organize or do all of those things, or coming in and teaching classes, just all the different classes that we offer. But I think one of the most beautiful things that we offer at Foothills is relationship. Education is important, but relationship is where we really do thrive so well at Foothills. Whenever moms and dads are able to come through the doors, and let me just take you through kind of a day. So they come in, they check in, and they're sitting there waiting, and we come and we just escort them back to the back in these little small rooms, and we shut the door, and then everything just comes pouring out about life. And I don't know about Pickens County as much as I do Oconee County, but I know there are some hurting people in Oconee County. There's some darkness in Oconee County. The things that we see at Foothills, the things that we see people struggling with, moms and dads. To revert back to Jamie, Jamie has partnered with so many men that have some really intense struggles. And we see women coming in with some really intense struggles, some really dark beliefs, a lot of confusion. Do y'all know our country's pretty confused right now, right? We're living in some dark times, some confusing times, some heavy times. So it's a beautiful thing to have our churches, but there's so many people that walk through our doors that unfortunately won't walk through these. And so we're able to be a bridge, because as we build relationship, as we meet them right where they are, and we build that relationship with them, then we're able to connect them with churches. It's almost like you have to get your confidence built up a little bit before you can come walking through the doors whenever you've experienced so much pain and so much trauma. And as I speak about trauma, I think about one of the most traumatic things that a woman can experience is abortion. You know, whenever we choose to work for Foothills, we're choosing to talk about one of the most difficult topics there is to talk about. We're choosing to battle something that's legal in our country. And please hear our hearts that although we tell women, please choose life, whenever life is not chosen, we're still there. We're still there. Our doors are still open because grace reigns at Foothills Care Center. 20 years ago, whenever I came to Foothills, I was getting educated about all the programs, and I began to sit in on some of the post-abortion Bible studies. And they were about 8 weeks long at that time. And it was absolutely amazing to watch the transformation that happened in those 8 weeks. To see darkness peeled away and the healing light of Jesus shining through those eyes again. Because, please hear me, whenever we read Scripture and we talk about being fearfully and wonderfully made, whenever we read in Jeremiah where God knew us before we were ever formed in our mother's womb, that is at the heart of our belief as a Christian. And if that life is present, whenever that life is no longer present, grief is required. And in our culture, unfortunately, where we don't acknowledge that life is there, women that are experiencing abortion and women that are experiencing miscarriage are dealing with that alone. We've had so many women come in. One woman comes to mind that came in months ago who dealt with a miscarriage at 15 weeks. She delivered at home, and they buried the baby in the backyard because they didn't know what else to do. And she grieved, and her husband grieved alone. Because we as a community don't know how to sit in that sadness with people. Whenever a life is not seen or held in our arms, we choose not to acknowledge it. But in the eyes of God, that life is there, created by His hands. And whenever that life is no more, again, grief is necessary. I have one more video I want to share with you.
You have experienced an abortion, or if you know somebody that has, there is help to heal from the pain and the guilt and the loss at Foothills Care Center.
They can help you sort out everything that's going on in your head that feels so scary and so shameful, and they can just help you to bring it into light and to have a place that's safe to talk about it.
I just really encourage you to reach out to a pregnancy resource center. Four Hills Care Center is local. We serve Seneca and Clemson. We're here to listen, we're here to encourage, we're here to educate.
There are wonderful people there. The staff and the volunteers are all very wonderful. And I pray that you will get the help that you need.
So we have so many testimonies of young women that come through our doors needing help. But we also have so many testimonies of women who have suffered for decades in silence. The lady that was sharing at the beginning, our beautiful Ray, who is a volunteer, she approached us and came in to volunteer. And our process is if somebody has experienced abortion, we want them to experience healing. And it is always amazing to me whenever I talk to a woman who has experienced abortion, and she says, "Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I asked for forgiveness, and I'm good." And then I look at her and I ask her, "But have you grieved your child?" And that's always met with silence. And so we have the opportunity to walk them through grieving their child. I want to invite Susan up. Susan's going to share a little bit more about that aspect of our ministry.
And I'm going to try and do this without crying, but I have a tissue. Hello, church. It's so great to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting us. Beautiful faces. It's going to make me feel a little more comfortable. And, of course, my team of sisters here. It's not always easy to talk about this subject, but, you know, God refines us, and He allows things to happen to us so that we can use our stories to help others. So I'm very grateful that I'm able to be here today just to share a little bit. Before Jesus came into my life, you know, just regular upbringing, did have a divorced set of parents, and mother remarried, and I'm going to make this short. Because we have other studies, too, that fall in their line other than just post-abortion, and this kind of ties into that as well. But when you are a little girl and you are rejected by your biological father and don't get that love back, and that goes with the importance that Jamie shared about having a father in the home. And even though my mother married the most amazing guy the second time, who's now in heaven, something about that rejection of your biological father sits deep within your spirit. And as a young person, you try and do whatever you can to fill that void. And, of course, I did with wanting attention from men, from boys. And that started from a very early age. So that's how the enemy gets you swirling and thinking you need to find your worth here on earth. Because I didn't really know who God was, and I didn't know where to find my worth. I was raised Catholic, so I knew to fear God, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. So all that being said, a lifetime of men and relationships led to unplanned pregnancies, which then led to abortions. And after each abortion, your self-loathing, your self-worth, everything is just huge. You don't feel important. You just go about your business trying to fill your emptiness with drugs, with alcohol, with more relationships, and all while Satan's going, yeah. God is saying, not today. All that being said, all that trauma and stress that I endured led me to a suicide attempt. And again, God said, she belongs to me and not today. I live as a miracle, to be honest, to stand here and talk to you today about the love of Jesus and how every soul and every child that He's designed and blessed every parent with is worthy of love. And I am so grateful that the Lord had His hand on me, and when I came out of that stupor, He led me to a wonderful church that embraced me. And you ever feel that when you say, I walked into the church for the first time and you felt like God saying, I'm hugging you, and every song, it was for you, and every message is for you?
That's how God ordained that day for me. And I was on fire for the Lord from that point on. I became a Bible thumper, but I'm not apologizing for that. Just the love that I felt and the renewing of who I was in Him was just electrifying. And I didn't care what anybody thought about me. But one thing I did have a hard time was forgiving my abortions, because I felt like there's a level of sins, because I was still learning the Bible, still trying to walk in my faith and learn more about God, but there is no level of sins. That a sin is a sin is a sin, and every sin is forgivable in the eyes of the Lord. That's where His grace and mercy comes in each and every day. So I'm so grateful for that. That led me to the church that I joined, which brought a lady who was a director at a pregnancy resource center. I'm from California, okay? I just got to put that out there, too. I'm not crazy anymore. I'm here in the South. Been here for 20 years. But I got saved in California. And this lady, I love her. She came and shared her testimony of her own abortion. And she directed anybody who had an abortion to come to her center for healing. And God gave me the strength to show up at her door, and I went through a wonderful Bible study called Forgiven and Set Free. And at that time, it was a 12-week study, and it was, the first chapter was knowing God. And that right there gave me more knowledge of God's forgiveness and His love for me and who His character was. That it started breaking down those walls of, okay, I also learned Jesus died on the cross for my sins, so why do I need to forgive myself when Jesus has already forgiven me? I had a hard time wrapping my head around that, but as the study went on, and, you know, I'm trying to find my words right. I'm nervous, I'm sorry. It just, as the Bible study unfolded and I learned more about God and His forgiveness and who I was as a person, I was able to drop down my walls and forgive myself. And it was very freeing, hence the word forgiven and set free. I was free. So all the bondage and all that the Satan tried to steal from me, which my innocence, my self-worth, my trust, my love for other people. I mean, abortion doesn't just take away the life of your innocent child. It destroys you as a person. It tears down everything you thought about yourself and humanity, and at least it did for me. So I'm very grateful for recovery. I'm so grateful that Foothills Care Center has recovery. That Bible study saved me, and I was able to travel all the way to South Carolina and find our previous director speaking at Foothills Community Church, asking for volunteers, and I knew that I wanted to go and serve at a pregnancy resource center to be able to share my story, because a lot of women think it's a quick fix of something that, as Marley stated, is just a problem, but it's not. It affects you in every way, shape, or form. And so being able to have this kind of study and your testimony to share people, you think this is going to be okay, and now you're going to wake up with a whole nother set of problems, and a lot worse because it's internal. So, but God can do anything. God is so merciful and so graceful, and as Delane always uses this term, He's a gentleman, and he's slow to anger, and He's patient, and He will walk anybody through a journey of healing. And Foothills Care Center, including Marley, she has done so much investigative work over our whole recovery program, which she revamped the entire thing. It's so much more than just the forgiven and set free. We have recovery, and Marty can share a little bit more. You're going to come back up and share a little bit more? Okay. About more personal parts of the recovery program. So we have the forgiveness set free for post-abortive. We have miscarriage recovery. We have finding your worth. We have trauma, understanding trauma, and many more that are escaping my brain right now. So my heart is to share with you anybody that's had an abortion or knows anybody, even grandparents, fathers. We have Jamie that can walk somebody through that, but we've had many grandparents come in too that we've been able to walk through the healing of abortion. Also, as Marty shared, the
ceremonies that we have. That was such a blessing for me, walking through my own healing, to honor my own child, to name my own child, to acknowledge my children, and know that I'm going to be reunited with them again is a blessing. And I guess that's all I have to share right now. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, lots and lots of recovery options at Foothills, and we are ready to meet people where they are. I just want to share a little bit about an upcoming event that Susan was just referencing. We began to do a service called Remembering Life. It gives you the opportunity to honor life lost within the womb, whether through abortion or miscarriage. We don't make the distinction. It will be May the 22nd. At 6 o'clock at Bountyland Church of God in Seneca, and everyone is welcome. So that is one upcoming event that we have. I'm going to turn it back over to Delane and let her share about opportunities at the center, and then we'll be finished.
Well, I think I shared a little bit about opportunities earlier as far as, your story causes you to get connected, because God never wastes a hurt. He never wastes a hurt. And so something in your walk with Him has prepared you for such a time as this. And we have opportunities to volunteer. Our Seneca office is open Monday through Friday. Our Fridays are half days. Our Clemson office is open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And there's a need for advocates to meet one-on-one with clients in both of those locations. There's a need for men that have a heart, like Jamie said, to be a mentor, to walk alongside a dad that needs accountability and someone to pour into them. There's receptionist opportunities. We have a baby boutique that we haven't talked very much about, but the material services, our baby boutique, all of our services are totally free and confidential. And so we rely on donations from churches and people in the community that just want to bless and help moms and dads choose life, have that baby, and be able to take care of that baby with diapers, wipes, formula, baby food. We have clothing newborn to 2T. All of those things that come in are donated. Some are brand new, but many are gently used, and they're all washed, dried, sorted. Outfits are made. They're put out. They're hung up. It's a process. It's a very large process, isn't it, Maggie? Maggie's our boutique coordinator. But it's fun. So there's behind-the-scenes volunteer opportunities. And the wonderful thing about being a volunteer is you get to choose your hours. And so we will take what you have to offer and how you want to be connected, as little or as much as you want to be connected, whether that's in Seneca or Clemson. Is that it? Information out there on the table. Yeah. We have information on the table out in your lobby. Our website is foothillscarecenter.org. There's lots of information on there, ways to get connected for volunteering. We have baby bottle campaign opportunities, which is a fundraiser that your church could do. We can talk about that. We are available to talk with you out there about anything, and I think we want to give y'all opportunity, if we have time, for some questions and answers. So, ask away. Y'all ask, we'll answer, or we'll try.
There's got to be some question.
Come on. We didn't tell y'all everything. That is a good question. Churches, we have in our community, we do have two major fundraisers a year. We have a gala in March, and we have a golf tournament in October. And both of those are, main funds are raised through that. But then we have monthly donations that come through the community members or just church groups or churches, and we rely on all of that for support. No government funding. Because, anyway, no government funding.
We won't talk about the government.
Well, I think in 20s, early mid-20s is our biggest group. But I will say, in the last 2 years, we've seen more and more young girls coming in, 14, 15. I think we have one 13-year-old, or have recently. And a lot more of them are coming in determined to have an abortion. We are seeing that more and more these days. And with the abortion pill, there's opportunity beyond what it used to be for them to get their hands on a pill that they take at home, self-administering their own abortion, which is another layer of self-loathing and trauma, and often don't even know for sure that they're pregnant or what they're taking because they ordered it through the mail. So we do have a nurse. She is an RN, but she is also trained to be a sonographer, ultrasound technician, and we also have volunteer sonographer that performs ultrasounds. Well, we have a connection mainly with Oconee as a hospital, but we have a lot of the classes that I mentioned earlier. We do a childbirth class that's free. We do a breastfeeding class that's free. And we have people that come from Prisma Health, from Oconee, that come in and teach those classes free for our clients. And through that, if they come to the class, they either get a car seat or a breast pump, depending, pack and play. All of those we rely on to be donated as well. We do. We have a couple of adoption agencies that we're very familiar with, and they're familiar with us, and a lawyer that we can refer to. We do not handle adoption the process, but we will connect if there is a desire even to know more about what adoption looks like now, because it's so different than what it was years ago, and the biological mom has a lot more say-so in the family that takes her baby. Hey, Marley. This is Marley. She's going to talk about that.
So we actually work with several recovery homes in the area and have women coming in and participating with our classes. We also offer classes for people that maybe they have a case with DSS, and we're able to help them get their parenting program. But like if someone comes in and there's a concern, we are mandated reporters. So we work closely with the Sheriff's Department, with DSS, anybody in our area to make sure that our kids are safe. Yeah. Anything else? Yes. Oconee County has Strengthening Families. I'm not sure about Pickens County. There are a few parenting programs out there, but we definitely do need more. And I mean, our greatest objective is actually to connect them with a church so that they have that community support. Because a parenting program is great, but there's nothing like the love of Jesus coming through his church. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now,
That's good.
so our material support goes up to 2T, but we have parenting education for beyond teenagers, adolescents, on up. And a lot of times we'll see mom come back in with a second baby, and she'll have a 2-year-old and a newborn. So it's an ongoing thing. So we don't tell them, your baby's 2, you got to go. Bye. So,
It's just the material stuff ends.
but,
That's
you know,
it. They won't
the clothing stops at 2T. Marley?
So you complete an application, and that application is vetted. You come in for an interview, and a lot of our training is online. You're able to go through those videos, and then you come in through for a period of time of shadowing. And we are also going to begin to institute in-services where we've got quarterly training as well, because we're constantly wanting to grow in our gift and grow with our volunteers. So there's plenty of training that's available. We definitely don't throw you in the deep end. Okay.
Not have you dip your toe.
But our volunteers are so wonderful about partnering with new volunteers that come in and just allowing them to shadow. It really is a beautiful thing to watch. Well, we want to conclude this time and hand it back over to Pastor. But again, thank you so much for having us this evening. This has been a real privilege and honor.
Oh, there's one more question. Oh, there was a question. She can meet us out at the table.
More questions, Melvin? Tom?
Yes.
Aren't y'all glad that door swings open, right? It gives people an opportunity to come and hear about the gospel and the grace of the Lord, so I'm thankful. Thank y'all. What I'm going to ask y'all to do, we're going to take up a love offering, fellas, if you'll come down for the love offering. Maybe if y'all want to go to the back where the materials are. But super thankful that you guys came and shared. And some of our folks, make sure that you meet them. If they stay here, if they all go out there, you guys can all go out there. But, man, it was just a good night. It was a good night to hear what's available, the opportunity that's available. Like I said at the outset, I'm just glad the door's open, right? So somebody can walk in and feel desperate, dark, broken, and maybe minutes later, I might have some hope, right? Glad it's there. Glad it's there. Father, thank you for para-church organizations. They're going to work to get them to a local church, but there's some broken, dark times in our lives where you're not going to come into a church door. And let's just be honest, we might not even know what their need is. They might not tell us. They'd be too ashamed to tell us their story. So thank you for believers that are in a place where they'll feel safe to let their guard down and tell their story. Because that's where the gospel has a way in. So God, help us give tonight. But as we've heard, it's just down the road. And maybe there's some in this room tonight that their hands, their mind, their feet, not just our money, could be involved. Thank you again for an opportunity to serve this place through our offering tonight. Use it, Lord, for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, you're dismissed. Lord bless you. Be careful going home. Hopefully we'll see you Wednesday night.